Well, good morning everyone and welcome to Peninsula Hot Springs World Wellness Weekend 2020. I'm Colleen Callander, former Sports Girl CEO and founder of Mentor Me Women, and I'm so delighted to be here with you this morning. I'm even more excited to be joined shortly by Amanda Campbell from Bend Like Bamboo. She'll be joining us very soon. She has an incredible story about resilience. Amanda's going to share with us her tips and tricks and all of her stories around how to build resilience through flexibility. While we're waiting for Amanda to jump on, I thought I might just share with you a little bit about her bio. So Amanda is founder of Bend Like Bamboo, a program designed to maximize resilience and health. As a sports kinesiologist and wellness presenter, she believes that flexibility builds resilience. With a flexible mindset, we can master change and reimagine what can be possible in mind, body, and life. Overcoming a paralysis at 29 from MS, Amanda discovered that with a flexible mindset, this impacts everything that matters in life. Here she is. I think I'm going to let her in. No, I think she's coming shortly. That's what happens when you're live. So Amanda, as I said, at the age of 27 was diagnosed with MS. She really looked at this as an opportunity to change her life and dig deep on resilience. Here she comes again. Sorry guys. Here we are. Hi Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. I was struggling with all of those messages coming up. I kept trying to get you in, but you're here now, so welcome.
Thank you. I saw that so many people. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining both Colleen and I for the Grow workshop this morning.
Fabulous. I was just saying your story is one of such inspiration. At the age of 29, you had an MS attack and you were told that you only had 50% chance of ever walking again, and your determination and the way you tapped into that resilience is truly inspiring, and I can't wait for you to share that story with everyone today. So let's kick it off. We don't have long, and I know you've got lots to talk about. So
let's get stuck in.
What does it mean to bend like bamboo?
To bend like bamboo is to master change with flexibility. And I really believe that's what helps us to become more resilient. I love this quote by Benjamin Franklin. Change is the only constant in life, and one's ability to adapt to those changes will determine our success in life. And I really think that's true. Change happens every single day in our lives, doesn't it? Every single day we are actually adapting to change. But sometimes life brings bigger change, such as the ending of relationships, like divorce. It could be an illness that we're overcoming in our lives, or external circumstances such as what we're dealing with globally and collectively. When we're stressed, we tend to become more rigid, closed-minded, and this truly impacts our health, our well-being, how happy and resilient we are, the choices that we make, and how we show up in the world. When we are stuck in our heads, we tend to overthink. We become stuck in the past, or we're overanalyzing the future, and we're removed from the present moment. It sort of feels like, when you're on autopilot and you're not really in your body. It's like when you're driving home and you get there and you can't even remember the streets you turned down. That's what it feels like to be in autopilot. But when we are more calmer and more present in the moment, we are in fact in our more creative state. And this helps us to be more flexible, and this enables us to promote more repair in the mind and body. And that feels like, when you've gone on holiday, oh my gosh, aren't we all imagining if we could just go on holiday? But you know what I did this morning? I went outside, and I've got a beautiful waterfall outside my apartment, and I just pretended I was on holiday, and I told my nervous system, you know what? You're on holiday, and that's when you have that deep exhale and you just relax, and that sends a signal to your brain out to your body, let's promote growth and repair instead of survival and stress. And so when we're more flexible, we are able to adapt. We can see our situation from with fresh eyes and from a higher perspective. So to bend like bamboo is the ability to be flexible and adaptable in times of change. And it's the ability to reimagine what can be possible in our mind, body, and life. And we can see our obstacles as opportunities.
Wonderful. Very, very wise words. And I love that idea. I think we should all go for a little holiday today. I think we should all take a few moments away and imagine we're somewhere else. That sounds really wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So share your story. As I said, I've heard it so many times and I still get inspired every time I hear it. It is a story of determination and resilience, and one that I can't imagine ever going through, but you just took it on with just such, as I said, determination, and here you are today in probably your optimal health that you've ever been in your life, given everything you've been through. So share that story with us.
Thank you. When I was young, I was always a motivated, happy, very driven young girl. But looking back now, I really didn't believe in myself at all. And I'm still working on that, don't get me wrong, but I really didn't believe in myself enough at all. And I struggled with that. When I was 24 years old, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I became very stressed after that diagnosis. And so I started to focus on what I didn't want, that I might end up disabled, bedridden, or worse. So I went out later and I worked harder and just disconnected more and more from my body, denying how frightened I felt about my future. And I went into that survival state, when we feel like we're just on and we're really stressed. So living and thinking and perceiving my life in this way, I became really unwell. And 5 years later, my worst fears were realized, and the entire left-hand side of my body became completely paralyzed. So my face dropped. And when I get stressed, I do get a bit of a crooked face. So I know that's when I need to rest. But my face dropped, my arm twisted, the whole left side became paralyzed. It looked like a stroke. So washing and feeding myself quickly became the most difficult tasks of my day. I went into hospital and I had treatment, but it wasn't working and I still couldn't move. And they transferred me to rehabilitation where I would live for 2 months. But first I sat in front of another doctor who then explained to me that I may never walk again. And that was the hardest, darkest time of my life. I remember one of my first rehabilitation sessions, they gave me these exercises just to make my fingers open and close, and I couldn't do it. And I was crying because it was so hard. And it was in that moment I knew I had a choice. I could either give up and do the same thing that I was doing before, not believing in myself or what could be possible. And I knew I had a choice. I knew I had to change my mind and my approach and what I was believing to get different results. It was as if we would light a candle in this well-lit room today. You don't really notice the light. It's only when everything becomes dark, that's a time when you find your light and what you're truly capable of. There were many weeks of no movement, and it was a really, really dark and hard time. But there was one day when everything changed. There was one wonderful day when a bunch of girlfriends came to my room in rehab, and they picked me up and they put me in my wheelchair and wheeled me across the road to the pub, and we had dinner. And just for a few hours, I got to just forget about this other reality that was really hard. I just got to escape that for a bit. And we had dinner and we laughed and laughed, and I forgot about the 24/7 nightmare that I was in. But because of the really difficult time I was going through and the power of polarity, I received so much joy in those moments, just doing the simple things of being with my friends and laughing and just being in their company. And I felt joy in my body as if I had never felt it before. It was a new way of receiving joy, like I allowed it in for the first time. And something very special happened that night when I came back to my room. My toe moved on my paralyzed foot for the first time. And it was in that moment I found hope. And as a result, I started to focus my energy differently. I started to focus on what I wanted instead of what I didn't want, which was to get my mind and body back. As my mindset shift started to change, I noticed I started to repair faster. I took a very balanced approach. I had wonderful doctors, and I had a neurophysiotherapist, and I had a kinesiologist, and I had an east-west balanced approach. And I walked and ran within 6 weeks, and it was deemed a very rapid recovery. And I was very lucky. And what I learned was it doesn't matter how we fall, it's how we rise. And the ability to surrender when we feel out of control, no matter what it is that you guys are going through right now. We're all going through something, and it doesn't have to be as dramatic as a paralysis. Whatever it is that we're going through, if we can surrender into, you know how you need things to be different when you're stressed and you're very rigid, if you can just let go and swim downstream a bit more, it allows us to sort of go through the difficult times, and that's what helps us to learn what we're capable of, and helps us to become more resilient. And this is also the best way I know that I gave my body and mind the best environment to be able to repair faster. Physical symptoms are often an end result of us not listening. Our bodies are wonderful communicators, so you don't want to suppress your symptoms. You want to listen to them and see what they're trying to tell you. For example, as a kinesiologist, when we look at a sore neck and shoulders, that's typically when we're stuck in the mind and we're overthinking. Or if you've got a sore lower back, that's typically you need to look at something that you're not letting go of. And so I also learned that what we believe is what matters, and what we believe determines the biochemistry we will fire in the body, that of either survival and stress or growth and repair. And what we believe is also a mirror image of what lenses we wear and how we perceive our environment, how we react, and our reactions are a mirror image of what we're believing. And so you can catch yourself when you're reacting to something, and you can go, oh, what belief is that making true? And do I need to change my mind about what I'm believing?
Brilliant. They are amazing and very insightful words. And I love that, we all have choice, and, the decisions we make and the actions we take and the thoughts we have really determine what path we go down. And that is really, truly an incredible story. And I can't imagine those things happening to people that are, of any age, let alone in your 20s, which is the prime of your life. And the way you navigated through that is truly, truly incredible. So
thank you.
Very inspiring.
Thank
so
you.
tell me about, so you love this word resilience. It's something that resonates, and it's really what got you through this time. So tell me, what is it and why is it so important?
I believe that resilience is the ability to dig down deep within ourselves in those moments when we feel like we can't go on, when we just can't imagine putting that foot in front of the other, and when things get really tough and we want to give in. It's the ability to go within rather than seeking externally for answers. It's who we are in those moments when no one's looking. Those choices that you make when you're alone at home, and how kind you are to yourself. It's the ability to manage stress, and this is directly related to our ability to be flexible and how happy and healthy we are. If you think of the analogy of a thermostat, it's your ability to remain anchored within yourself and to find that inner consistency where you can remain calm and in control of your emotions, and your ability to analyze whether you're in your mind or whether you're not, and how to drop out of your head. And the thermostat allows us to find that inner consistency within, despite external circumstances that we can't control that changes. There is always a moment of choice. You are making choices every single day. It's not how you fall, it is how you rise. And in every choice that you make every day is also building that resilience within you. And it's your ability to go through the difficult times rather than trying to find ways of deviating around them. Because when you just surrender and go, you know what, I'm so scared, I don't know what's around the corner. It feels like you're diving into the black abyss of the unknown. And if you can just surrender and go, you know what, I can do this, and you just go in, I promise you, it's not going to be as scary as you think. And what you discover about yourself when you can do that takes you into a whole new world. And as resilience builds up, we can lean into uncertainty more, and this translates into other areas of our lives. We can become more confident. And I really think that self-esteem is an enormous thing to build within ourselves. It's so important to have really good self-esteem within ourselves. And that helps us to grow. And also it's not just about repairing. Flexibility allows us to perform and to be at our best. So this is also a conversation I talk about in the workplace, and how to build rapport and better cultures around us as well, which I'm sure you've dealt with a lot, Colleen, particularly at Sports Girl.
Yes, absolutely. I love it when you talk about what's in your control, because obviously we've been all going through a lot of change this year. This unprecedented time that we're all living through, and there's a lot of things that are out of our control right now. And so I think that we talked about in terms of focusing on what is in our control and making those decisions and taking that challenge head on, looking it straight in the eye and saying, I've got this and I can do this, is really when you dig deep and find that resilience that sometimes we don't even know is there, right?
That's right. And that mindset shifts, elevates our state of mind, so we can feel like things are happening for us rather than to us. We come out of that victim state, because everything that we go through, if you think back to some of the things you've been through in your life, they helped you to become the person that you are now. And even though it sucks and it feels awful when you're in it, you always look back and go, you know what, I'd do that all over again, because now I realized that taught me what I needed to learn, and I became stronger as a result. But imagine being able to do that while you're going through it rather than waiting until afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. We talk about succeed or fail, but really failure is just learning. Failure is a part of life. And like you said, when we face that and look that straight in the eye, that's when we really learn, we really grow. So thank you for sharing those amazing words. So you have this resilience formula. I'm very interested. I haven't heard this story before, so I'd really love to know from you, what is this formula and how do you maximize resilience in your life?
Do you know how I came up with this? I remember I had a difficult day. My mother's dog passed away in my arms, and at the vet, and it threw me, and I put myself in my car and drove up to the Dandenongs and sat in the rainforest. And I sat there in silence by myself, and I looked up at the trees, and this is how I came up with the resilience formula. So the resilience formula is anchor minus letting go plus flexibility equals resilience. So I'm going to dissect. So our anchor, if you imagine the analogy of a tree, and a tree is anchored, it's rooted in the earth. And if you think of bamboo, this is what allows a tree or the bamboo to bend and to become flexible. And bamboo can actually bend in direct proportion to the wind without snapping. So when we can find our inner anchor within ourselves, it builds our inner foundation and that thermostat. And when we are anchored, we are able to go within. We can trust ourselves more. We make decisions from a guided place. We don't ask for everybody's opinion. We know what's right for us. And it's so important to know what to walk towards and knowing what is right for us. And also knowing what to walk away from in our lives, and understanding and being able to deeply connect and to know what to walk away from. So our anchor is that. And then minus letting go. Becoming a master at letting go is letting go of old stories and redundant beliefs and ideas that we created maybe a long time ago, but that aren't relevant for who we are now. We wash our body every day. How do you wash your mind and empty your mind? That's how I like to meditate and journal, is I try and empty my mind, close the tabs in my mind, because our brains are useful and thinking is useful for things we need to think about. But really, if we can empty our minds and come from our heart space, we're able to perform so much better. So letting go is where we can let go of old stories that we become stuck in. And you'll know when you're stuck in an old story. You'll feel an inner conflict within yourself. And our stories and how we think and feel is truly malleable. And we forget that. Letting go is our ability to manage stress, and we accumulate so much suppressed and stuck emotions when we're not continuously learning how to let go in our lives. And when we can do that, we are less vulnerable to the stress response and stress-related illnesses. So it's really, really important to master the art of letting go. Letting go is also letting go of inner judgment, being more the observer in our lives, and separating unnecessary dialogue to situations. So, and then plus flexibility. Flexibility in our mindset impacts everything that matters. Our body's ability to repair, how happy and resilient we are, and how connected we feel. When we are more flexible, we can choose our thoughts, we can ask more questions, we can react more consciously. We no longer need to be right all the time, and we can see life and situations from other people's perspectives, and we can let go of that inner resistance and needing things to be a certain way. So I really challenge everybody today to catch yourself in your reactions, and choose a new one that might be more appropriate with what you want to be believing and who you want to be in your life now. So that's my resilience formula.
Fabulous. Our minds are incredible things, and they're super busy. We have, something like 60,000 thoughts going through our minds every day. So I love that notion of letting go and getting rid of some of that and getting some clarity there. It's really it's a really interesting concept. So I love that. I really love that.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure that there's some questions that we've got a huge amount of people on this morning, which is great. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Yes, thank you,
guys.
guys.
Some great questions out there. If you'd love to pop them in the chat box for us, I'm sure Amanda would be able to answer those. But while we're waiting for a few of those questions, Amanda, I know we've only had half an hour together today, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to want some more of you. And I know you've recently launched a fabulous online course. Tell us a little bit about that, and where can people find you?
Well, I'm a sports kinesiologist, and my private practice, Bend Like Bamboo, is a place where I focus on mindset, and I help other people to discover what's holding them back. And I find kinesiology is a great tool to help people unlock their potential and to discover, what's blocking them. When we went into lockdown, obviously I couldn't see my clients, so I had to pivot, and I really wanted to help more and more people globally rather than just seeing people one-on-one. So I created a resilience online course to help people to unlock that potential and to give their mind and body the best environment to be more flexible and resilient. So I wanted to offer everybody a special, you get 20% off with the coupon code Peninsula Hot Springs 20. And you can jump on my website, benlikebamboo.com, to find all the information there.
That's fabulous. Wonderful. I'm sure there'll be lots of people jumping on and getting in touch with you. So that's really wonderful. Excellent. And have we got any questions coming through?
Let's have a look. I think I can scroll as well. Let me see. Oh, look, my twin's there. Hi, Nicole.
I've seen lots of familiar faces and familiar names popping up on our screen today. So again, thank you everyone for joining us.
Hey, Gus. Gus is there. Millie. Well, while we're waiting for some more questions, Colleen, I really love what you're doing as well. You've created a new business called Mentor Me Women, and I think it's so wonderful with all your years of experience and what you've achieved in your life that you're giving back and helping women with. Tell me more about Mentor Me Women.
Yes, well, one of the things I'm super, super passionate about, and I have been my whole life, in my CEO world or just in my world in general, is empowering and inspiring women to lead and live their best lives. And so when I finished with Sports Girl, or resigned at the start of this year after 20 years with the Sports Girl Group, and 13 of those as CEO across Suzanne and Sports Girl at different times, I decided to really take this year off and spend some time doing some things I was passionate about. One was going to be doing some travel, which obviously that hasn't eventuated, but hopefully that will. But the other was really turning my time into something really, as I said, that I'm passionate about, and started the Mentor Me program, which is a monthly program. It's a one-on-one with me. It's across 4 weeks. The first is a one-on-one with me for an hour, and then 3 very small group sessions each week after that. And it's just been absolutely incredible. I've loved every minute. I love talking to women. I love helping them, find the right path and navigating that journey of life, which can be really challenging sometimes when you're doing it on your own. And mentors and role models are super important in our lives. So, and the same, jump on, have a look at my website, And if you're interested or just want to reach out and say hi, please do. I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, beautiful. I don't know what I would do without the mentors I've had in my life. And it's really important to have a mentor and also to mentor. I get so much joy out of helping other people as well. And I think it's what I love about your journey, Colleen, is you literally are proof that if you believe in yourself, you can go all the way to CEO, because you worked in retail. From what age were you when you first started?
I started on the shop floor when I was 16, so I didn't finish school. I didn't get a formal sort of education, and worked my way through. And I sort of really put that down to the fact of I love people and I love watching people thrive and shine, and that's what I spend a lot of my time on. So, but when you said the word believe, I love that word, because I think it's important that we not only believe in ourselves, but we believe in each other, and particularly as women.
Yeah.
Enough room in this world for everyone. And there's enough room in this world for every woman to lead in their own lives and be successful in whatever way that suits them. And I'm such a big fan of women lifting each other up. So it's amazing.
That's amazing.
Got a question for you. So the question, Amanda, is what is one exercise we could do to make our mind more positive in light of these unprecedented times? What's one exercise?
The first thing that springs to mind is what I did this morning is, just to find those moments where we just be with yourself. Learn how to be idle. Learn how to even just going out this morning and sitting next to a waterfall, not listening to music, not doing anything at all, and just being in the stillness calmed me down so much, and allowed my nervous system to believe, oh, okay, no, I don't need to choose survival. Amanda is safe. I can now choose growth and repair pathways instead. I can't even tell you what that did for me. Just half an hour of that. It's a beautiful sunny morning. So if you can just find pockets throughout the day to just put your phone down, put everything down, and just drop the story, and just be in the moment would be my advice.
That's such great advice, because I think in these times, people have become busier. We're connected all the time. We're all in our home offices and we're on Zoom all day and we're on our phones. And so that is, such great advice. I've been speaking to so many women over the last few months that are, on this bit of a crazy treadmill because they haven't put sort of these boundaries around themselves at home and taken time for themselves. So that's such great advice. I talk about it as 45 to thrive. So 45 minutes a day, you have to find time to have that time for yourself. And, when we say I haven't got time, we're actually saying to ourselves, I'm not making myself a priority.
That's right.
We all need to make ourselves a priority, and we can all find time if it's important. And our mental health and well-being is so important, particularly in these times and particularly in Victoria. So that's fabulous advice. That's great.
Do you know what I want to ask you, Colleen? How did you feel on the day that you became CEO after your lifelong journey and all the steps leading up there? What did that feel like in that moment for you? I'm dying to know.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it didn't feel like a moment. Someone asked me this question last week, and they said, how did it feel? And when you got there, were you ready for that? And I likened it to sort of playing in a grand final. You don't just turn up on grand final day and think, I've got this. You've been working, but you haven't. You've been working super hard for a very, very long time. You've made sure you're fit, your mental health's right, everything's right. And I sort of liken it a bit to that. I just didn't turn up one day and I was the CEO. I'd spent years and years and years working up to that grand final. And when I did, it was just another moment in time that gave me an opportunity to impact more people in my life. I talk a lot about people before profit, and of course people sometimes laugh at that, and of course profit's important for any organization, because if you don't have profitable organizations, they don't exist. But I truly believe that if you put people at the heart and the center of every single thing you do, then your profits come. And so being the CEO or going into that CEO role just gave me more opportunity to impact and influence and inspire more people. life.
That is the best advice. So everybody out there, just put one foot in front of every day. Just do something towards your dreams and your goals. And whether you step into being a CEO or whatever your dream is, it'll just become the next step that makes sense. And Colleen, thank you for taking the time to be with me here today.
Pleasure. Always wonderful. And just on your final note, when you said dream, I absolutely think that is so beautiful, and I encourage every single person out there to dream big, because when you do, amazing things can happen. So Amanda, thank you again for sharing your amazing story. It's been so wonderful. We've had so many people on live, and I know you'll be able to
so cool.
this discussion on Peninsula and on our own channels as well. So thank you so much.
That's all right. And thank you to Peninsula Hot Springs for having us both today. And thank you, Colleen, for, hosting the interview. And to everybody, happy Sunday.
Sending lots of love. Bye, everyone.
Bye.